You are now listening to the District 2 Sports Podcast, available on Podbean, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. It costs you nothing to smash that like button. Leave us a review and follow District 2 Sports on Facebook, X, and Instagram for more content and coverage. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Podcast, and we're excited to welcome a coaching legend, head football coach Alan Fiddler of Patrick Henry High School. Coach Fiddler has an incredible career from his dynasty there at Moorfield High School in West Virginia to leading his alma mater, Glenville State, to a conference championship there in the WEVIAC. And now he's gotten the Patriots there in Roanoke, Virginia. Coach, congratulations on a good start so far, and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
I appreciate it. Like I said, I want to get started with this year. I mean, you guys are 5-0. I think you're outscoring your opponents 145-26, I believe. I'll get that right. But what's kind of worked right for you guys so far?
I think we just got a really good mix of kids that really like each other. They get along well. They practice hard. They one thing they've done is they really handled adversity well, and I think that's been a problem of the young kids here lately is handling adversity and learning how to handle adversity. And this group's been really good at it because we've started some games out kind of rough, and they haven't flinched. They just kept working and found a way to win.
Coach, I want to mention the first 3 games of the season, you guys play on the road. You went to Southern Elements, go to Glass, and play at Franklin County. All 3 good teams in their own right. So you feel like that those three first games of the road games kind of set you guys up for the season coming up?
Yeah, I mean, we really didn't have much choice. We a team dropped us late in April, and we had to pick up Southern Elements from North Carolina, and it ended up going down there and getting a win. And when you looked at the schedule starting out, and you're starting 3 on the road, and you're like, hey, to end up going 3-0 in those games was really outstanding by the kids, and they found a way to get it done.
Coach, just want to ask you a couple questions. They probably gonna mix up a little bit. I understand you guys had a tough first round loss last year in the playoffs. I understand it was some miscues maybe on special teams, but I want to ask you, with the losses on both sides of the football for this year, what about this year's team helps you not necessarily forget last year's team, but helps you concentrate on moving forward? And then second of all, I understand that this is kind of a year, I wouldn't say retribution year, but a year of kind of getting back to the fundamentals. What, in your opinion, or in your coaching philosophy, is the fundamental scheme of football?
Well, I think the biggest thing with this year's team that's different is the character of the team. And like we talked about, handling adversity, and these guys, they practice well. They show up to practice and try to get better. Fundamentally, I think, our goal is to get better every day. We're not necessarily going out trying to beat that opponent for that week, but we want to get better every day. We got to get better every week. If we want to do well in the playoffs, we know that we have to be a better football team 6 weeks from now than what we are right now. And, that's our goal. Of course, we have a lot of really good football teams that we have left to play, and, we prepare for them. But our main goal is let's get better daily. And if we get a little bit better every day, and individually and as a team, we think we can be pretty good at the end. But like I say, I can't emphasize enough this group of kids and their character and their fundamentals, and they really have a like for each other, and they're having fun playing football.
That's awesome. And listen, I want to ask you a question, and I'm probably going to run a few folks in here and maybe fill in the blank. But how big a role or how big of a luxury is it to have a person such as Raheem Poindexter, Landon, and I'm going to butcher this name, I know. Is it Depew? Depew, okay. Demarion Purdue and Cam Harrison Taylor. How big of luxuries are these kids for you?
Yeah, they're difference makers. And, you've always got, to do well in any team sports, you've got to have some kids that are difference makers, and those kids are definitely that. When Cam gets the ball in his hands, he can score on any play. He's a lockdown corner. He can shut the other team's best guy down if we need that to happen. But he's already got I think he's got 28 catches for 642 yards already and 8 TDs. Purdue is another kid. He's a 220-pound running back that has good speed. Kids get tired of tackling him. He runs hard. Landon Depew's a kid, a center. When you have a returning center, that's always huge for you. He does a good job of controlling things up front. And then Rakeem Poindexter he's a grown man up there. He's 6'2", about 250, 260, and he's getting off the ball. He's very difficult to handle, and he's had a really good year as well. So those guys they're some of the core keys of our team, and they've got experience. They've been with our program for a good while, and they know what's expected of them each day. But in game situation, they're difference makers. They can make a difference in the winning or losing.
Coach, you guys got a win, a 14-2 win over your city rival there, William Fleming. I think you've been at PH now, I think, was it 15 years, I believe, or maybe it's 16. But what does that rivalry kind of mean to the city and also getting a win in that game?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge for the kids and for the community. We try not to make too big a deal of it because it's already hyped enough, so we don't really have to hype it up too much. We try to just be focused on what we need to do to be successful. We're 12-2 in the Mayor's Cup, I guess they call it. And so we've had some pretty good success in that game. But anytime you can beat Fleming's got a good football program, and Coach Leftwich over there doing a great job. And, so getting a win in that game was really good. And it gets our kids excited and helps carry momentum as the season goes.
Coach, I don't like to take anything away from single A football whatsoever. I'm a huge believer in programs such as the Alta Vista Colonels and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I want to ask you a quick question, and just kind of digging into yourself basically. But I read a quote. It says about the difference in 5A and single A football. I think that's where you coached in West Virginia. But it says you are not just playing against guys who will be playing on Saturdays, but you also be playing against guys who play on Sundays. And then when you get to the state playoffs, basically you're playing against teams that have 5 or 6 or 7 or more Division I kids. Besides this being the truth, how much of a motivational speech is this for your kids from you?
What do you mean by the motivational speech? I mean, as far as to my current team about?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just kind of, is this a way to pump them up to get them ready for that next game? Or, is this bulletin board material that you can put up there and say, hey, this is what you're going to face on a daily basis here in 5A? Yeah, we talk about that a good bit. And to be honest with you, just yesterday, we play a tough Salem team this week, and we were watching some of the 22 game. And in that 2022 game, we counted 14 Division I players in that game. And, so that shows you the type of level that we're playing at. And that's fun, and it's good for the community. It's good for the fans to come watch. And a lot of those kids now that played in that game, you're watching them on TV on Saturdays. And there's going to be a couple of them, probably, like I said, there's going to be a couple of them that end up playing on Sundays. And it's fun, and it's great for the community. It shows that this area has really good football, and that those recruiters should be coming to this area and getting these kids. Just kind of a follow-up. I guess the best way to ask you this is, are you a kind of glutton for punishment? I mean, do you like to come in and build these programs back up? I mean, I know you had to start from scratch basically at Moorfield, and then come in here to Fleming, and they hadn't won a playoff game in 25 years until you get here. So, I mean, is that your gluttony for punishment, or do you just like to build that and form that team in kind of your formation?
You got to fix him, Greg. It's PH right there. So he's laughing at you up there. But no, it's just what happened. I took over a Moorfield program that was about as bad as you can get, and I went 0-10 my first year as a coach. And I kind of believe every coach at some time in their career should go 0-10. It teaches you a lot, humbles you, and you realize that, hey, it's not always about you. And there's a lot of I figured things out real quick, and we turned it around there and ended up winning 6 state championships. But I went to Glenville. They were down Glenville was down when we got there. We were fortunate enough to have a lot of success. We were, I think, 38-16 in the league or something like that. Won a championship and ended up finishing 4th. Or second 4 times with the lowest scholarships in the league. So we thought we did really well there. And then we come to PH, and the thing about I didn't really know anything about PH. I'd only been to Roanoke one time in my life before that, and that was when I brought my Glenville team to play Liberty, and we stopped at the Ponderosa to eat on the way to Liberty. That's the only time I'd ever been here in my life. And so I came in and really didn't know what to expect. But when I got the job, I just saw dudes that could run everywhere and speed. And I was like, we can do something with this. We can figure out how to win with this. And, we've tried to be a consistent program and keep them up there. In high school football, you have your ups and downs, and sometimes you got good players, sometimes you don't, but you try to stay as steady as possible on those down cycles. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. Just trying to get these kids. I think the biggest thing we're proud of is getting these kids having fun playing football and trying to get them next level and getting an education at the next level. And we've done a good job with that. So it's been fun, but I didn't plan to go out and say, hey, I'm going to take a program that's down and turn it around. That's just the way it happened. That's just the way things. I would love to, get a team that's already established. But sometimes though, when you get a team I think it's easier sometimes when you get a team that's down and you can just scrap everything and start over, and then trying to figure out what the last guy did and what you need to keep or not keep from him.
Coach, Gregory, don't forget to edit me out there. I messed up. I was looking at something, and I'll tell you the reason why I screwed that up. But anyway, I'm sitting here looking at Gregory calls me Max Preps Greg, okay? I just want to let you know that. So I'm sitting here looking earlier today at the 5A teams. I mean, you got Maury, you got Stonebridge, you got Warwick, you got Kings Fork, River Bend, Nansemond River. You guys are in the 5A poll. I don't know if you even look at this stuff. You're number 7 in the 5A right now. 8 Green Run, 9 Indian River, Hermitage. I mean, if you go through that scenario, those teams, you're looking at what, 2-3 area Richmond area teams, and you're looking at the rest from the beach. And the reason why I screwed that name up, number 13 you got Fleming at 2-2, and then 22 you got Franklin County at 2-2. I was just curious, do you ever feel like you're fighting kind of for the little guy? And I know you're 5A coach, but here you are in Southern Virginia, basically, or Central Southern Virginia. Are you fighting for the little guy at all? And how much pressure, or does it put any pressure on you at all?
I mean, I think a little bit you're fighting for the area. This area has been historically really good, probably in 3A, 4A, won a good many championships with, in those. But the 5 and 6 has been tough. Like you say, once we get out of the area, like you're seeing a different type of football. I think some of the problem is with the districts here, we play, a lot of 3s and 4s in our district schedule. So then when you get in the playoffs, you get shocked a little bit because of the speed of the game, and it takes you about a quarter to catch up. I thought last year we played great in that Matoka game. Matoka was a really good football team, and ended up we were ahead on the last play of the third quarter, and they tied it up on a kickoff return, and then we ended up losing it late. But we've won some big playoff games too. We went to Massaponax and won, which was a huge win to go there. I mean, they've got a great program. Beat Briarwoods at home a few years ago, which had a really good football program as well. So we've won some big ones. It's been hard to put together. There for about 4 years, I think. We had our season ended up in Fredericksburg, and when we were in that region. So it's been tough at times, but we just keep trying to get better and do what we can do. And all you can do is try to be the best team you can be. And when you get in some of those games, man, like they got some dudes, man. They got, I walked up to one kid and I said, big kid, big D lineman, had SEC defensive lineman, and I asked him, I said, who else offered you? And he just looked at me and said, a bunch of people.
No, that's good. No, I was sitting here looking at those teams, and I was, just about every team has a loss. And I when you look at it and it says Oscar Smith beside it is your loss, I can't think that that's a bad loss whatsoever, or Varina. So, I guess that my next question was, you mentioned just a hair about this, about your season ended up in the Fredericksburg area. How glad were you to see that Mountain View moves to 6A? I mean, for a run there, it was that was the brick wall, I guess you want to say.
Well, they took us out, I think 4 times, and we just couldn't get over the hump with those guys. We had them at home during the COVID year. We got them at home and lost 14-7, and we had an opportunity at the end of the game to tie that game and didn't make a play on 4th down. But other than that, when we've went up there, we've been a little bit competitive, but there's also been some years where we weren't competitive. We got injuries. Like I said, talk about that 22 team, and we went up there and we lost our D1 receiver. We lost our starting center. 2 plays later, we lost our backup center. We ended up playing. We had a 3rd string center playing. We lost our linebacker. We lost our tailback, all in one game. And my special teams guy comes to me and says, "Hey, Coach, we can't punt." And I said, "Why?" He said, "We don't have any. All our snappers are hurt. We didn't have any long. So we had 3 long snappers hurt, and so we're ended up having to go for it on 4th down the rest of the game, and it's just been some unfortunate situations in some of those games."
Coach, I want to talk about your young QB there. I think he's only a sophomore, to correct me if I'm wrong. Jake Painter, you're a former QB there at Glenville State. I mean, how have you seen him develop over the season? And are you kind of constantly on him in practice, kind of showing him during reps, saying, "Hey, maybe work on this, work on that"?
Jake is he's different. He's a special kid. Like, this kid is a really good football player, really good athlete. He has the mentality that you want to have in a quarterback. He can spin the football. He's really intelligent. He understands the offense. He understands the reads. He's a kid that's a sophomore, and I've taken, all bets are out. Like, we're running our whole deal. We're running our whole offense. We're RPOing it. We're throwing it down the field. We're running a screen game, no huddle, sprinting out, play action. He has multiple reads on multiple plays, and so I'm not holding anything back. And this kid he's 65 of 108 for 1,083 yards and 10 touchdowns. He's thrown 4 picks. They were all in the same game. He threw 4 picks in the glass game. And tell you about this kid, this tells you all you need to know about this kid is he threw 4 picks in the glass game. 2 of them weren't his fault. 2 of them were tip balls. And one of the tips ended up being a pick 6. One of their defensive linemen caught it and ran it in. So we're behind in this game, and we're in the beginning of the 4th quarter, and we always talk in between drives. And he's standing there, and he said, "Coach, we're going to go down the field, and we're going to drive down the field and win this game." And he just flat out told me. I said, "Go," and he had no doubt in his mind. And we get the ball, and we went 80 yards and drove down the field and won the game. And kid to being a sophomore and to just have that poise and calmness about him, and he never flinches. You'll never see him get flustered. And I've seen him take big hits. He played in the Matoka game last year as a freshman. Took a big hit and threw a 90-yard touchdown pass to Cam to give us the lead right at the end of the third quarter, and took a wicked hit. And I didn't see it. My coach is saying, "Coach, you need to go talk to your quarterback." And I go over and I talk to him, and like, he can hardly breathe. And I thought at first maybe it was a head injury. And I said, "Did you get hit in the head?" He said, "No, I got the breath knocked out of me." And he can like barely. And I said, "Are you good to play?" And he said, "I'm good. Let's go." He said, I'm not coming out. Let's go." And this is a freshman. Like, can you imagine being a freshman and being put in a 5A playoff game? And, you got Matoka, who's got an SEC D lineman that's out South Carolina. They had 4 Power 4 skill guys. I mean, and we're throwing him out there and going, "Hey, go make plays, dude." So I'm looking forward to his future. And we're going to be able to do a lot of great offensive things. And if you want to watch some exciting football on a Friday night, come watch us play, because we're not just turning around and handing it off. We're throwing it around. We're no huddle. We're spreading the ball around, and it's a lot of fun to run the offense.
Hey, Coach, nothing that matters to you or anything. I did pick you guys over EC Glass. Just want to put that out there. Someone else who's listening to the podcast. But right. Jake, he plays football. I think he plays basketball and lacrosse as well. I think I saw a quote, back in the day when you were at Moorfield. You had multiple kids who play multiple sports, and you kind of appreciated that, getting to play different sports as they bring different aspects to their game. So you can speak a little bit more about that, having kids play multiple sports, versus just kind of concentrating on one.
Well, I think that comes from myself. And when I grew up, I grew up playing Little League baseball and all that. And then when I got in high school, I played football. I was quarterback in football, and I was played basketball. And I love my time playing all sports. And I don't think a coach should deny anybody the opportunity to play a game that they love. I mean, this is high school. Let these guys play as many sports as they want. And we do our best and great training and the training that they need. I want these guys to play every sport they can. And then when I was at Moorfield, we had guys – a lot of 3-sport guys. The best one was probably a kid named Brent Matheny, who, it's hard to believe, but this kid was all-state captain in 3 sports. Ended up playing baseball at JMU. Ended up being in the White Sox organization. I got a really good story about this kid if you guys want to hear it.
Of course.
So Brent Matheny, I get asked to coach in the North-South All-Star game in West Virginia, which is a big deal in West Virginia. So the head coach, he was a guy, really good coach, but he was a little uptight. And I said, "I got a quarterback for you." So I showed him the film, and he's like, "All right, I'm going to pick that guy to be my quarterback. He's going to pick Brent to be his quarterback." So back then, you went for the whole week to practice. So we had to show up on Saturday. So Brent tells me, he said, "Coach," he said, "I'm playing in the West Virginia American Legion tournament, state tournament." He said, "I'm going to be a day late." I said, "Okay, we'll deal with that." He said, "We're probably going to lose. I'll be there pretty quick." So Brent goes, and he doesn't show up Saturday. Come to find out, Sunday's still not there, and the coach is telling me, "Coach, if your guy don't show up, I'm gonna have this other kid be the quarterback." I said, "He's coming. Don't worry about it." Well, Brent pitched, and they won the West Virginia American Legion tournament. So he gets down there, and now I'm a little uptight because the coach is giving me a hard time. And I said, "Hey, Brent," I said, "when's the last time you touched a football?" And he said, "When was the state championship game?" I said, "Okay." So we go through practice, and he's doing well. So he was also picked to be in the North-South basketball game, which was played on Friday night. So on Thursday, I had to take him over for the practice of the North-South basketball game. So I'm driving him over, and I said, Brent, when's the last time you touched a basketball? He said, when was the state basketball tournament? So that night, or the Friday night, he goes out and he plays in the North-South basketball game. He gets he scores like 4 points, has a couple assists, but he's playing against all these D1 kids. I'm like, okay, it's a pretty good deal. So Saturday, he comes back on Saturday, and he plays in the North-South football game and gets MVP of the game, and we win the game. So this kid in 1 week played baseball at a high level, basketball at a high level, and football at a high level, and that shows you like the what these kids can do if you just let them get out there and play. You know,
Coach, I want to ask you about Moorfield. I think you guys, when you first started there, went to a no huddle offense that I think was ahead of its time there in the state and kind of probably all over the U.S. How has your offense kind of philosophy changed over the years, and how does it kind of fit your personnel you have there at Patrick Henry?
I think in 95 I decided to go to no huddle, and I was working this camp, these football camps, and there was this another coach there, and we were talking about it, and he's like, I tried to go no huddle last year, and it was miserable. It was the worst thing we ever did. He said, don't whatever you do, don't go no huddle. So I made up my mind the day before the first practice. I'm doing it. We're going no huddle. We were the only team in the state at the time doing it, and I think it gave us a huge advantage. One of the reasons why we got on the run that we did. And we've stayed with that. I've always stayed with that. I think getting in a huddle is a waste of time. Even in practice, like how much time do you waste in practice getting in and out of the huddle? And then coaches are screaming, straighten the huddle up and break the huddle right. And, you're wasting time. It's stupid. But anyway, so offensively here, in Moorfield, we had the wing tee and the spread together. And I grew up a wing tee guy in high school. My high school coach was the winningest coach in the state of West Virginia at Musselman High School, and we won the state championship when I was a junior, and we're runners up when I was a senior. So when I started coaching, I was a wing tee guy, and there was like 10 guys in the box. Like they would have one guy covering the wide out, and there'd be 10 guys in the box. And I'm like, well, why are we beating our head against the wall? It's like so we started doing some spread stuff, and it ended up being both wing tee and the spread. And I went to college. Like you can't really run the wing tee in college, and so we were running the I. We were running the pro I and the spread stuff, and our changeup was the pro I. I had a really good tailback at Glenville, Jerry Seymour. He led the nation in rushing, was a first-team All-American. And my old college coach, Frank Vincent, who won 3 state championships at Charleston High School, he called me up and he said, Coach, he said, are you running the wing tee? I said, no. He said, why not? I said, well, college football, you get too much stunts and twists and all that. So it's really difficult. You really need to run a zone, some type of zone blocking scheme. And I said, Coach, I said, we're second in the nation in rushing. He said, well, if you're running the wing tee, you'd be first. But when I got here, we did a little bit of that. We did some wing tee and the spread for like a couple of years. And now we're just all spread, and we mix in some RPOs, and we do some 2-back out of the shotgun stuff. But I still have a lot of wing tee fundamentals and philosophies in our offense. And, we run the crap out of power. We run ISO. But now out of the shotgun, we can RPO with it. So that's kind of where we are. But my philosophy here at PH is get these guys the ball in space and let them do their thing.
One of the guys we talked about, or Big Reg mentioned earlier, was Cameron Harrison Taylor. One thing, if you can comment, I don't know what it is about Syracuse, but they seem to love to want to be there in Roanoke. I think they had a kid there from last year from Fleming, and now this year from PH. So I don't know what the relationship is there, but if you can comment on that. But what kind of player is Syracuse getting next year with Cameron?
He's a very dynamic kid, great speed. I think they're looking at him as a lockdown corner, because he's a guy he's probably the first really high school kid that I had that I would say is a lockdown corner guy. You know, he guarded the kid at Matoka last year at Virginia and really did a really good job on him. He does, you know, a lot of times in this area, teams don't really throw enough for us to see for that to be a factor. But when they are, that, you know, he's got that ability. I think he gets bored a little bit at times over there on defense. But offensively, he's a game changer. And he's a guy that we definitely want to find ways to get the ball in space to him.
Coach, you guys take on a Salem team that's kind of different from the years past. They're a little down this year, but how do you guys keep your focus on winning this game and, you know, not letting their record kind of show and kind of, you know, maybe an upset or something like that happens? How do you keep guys focused on this game?
Well, I mean, it's a local game. We're 5-10 minutes from Salem Stadium, and I told our kids the other day, I said, you know, we're starting to get a little bit of respect in Roanoke, and I said, if you really want to get respect, you have to beat Salem. I said, you know, no matter what their season looks like, I mean, that's the standard around here, and that's, you know, I know the one time when we did beat them in 22, that's the nights when my cell phone's, you know, I'm getting all kinds of texts from people I haven't heard from before. And, you know, I said, you really want to get respect, you got to go beat those guys. And they're going to play hard. They always play hard. They'll be well coached. And we got to go down there and play in a tough environment. So nothing going to be easy.
Coach, I'm an old Western District Conference or district person with GW Danville. So that was my old heyday, 85. And I'm not sure if you're even familiar with GW at all. But, you know, back in those days, you know, Pulaski, Salem, if they were good, then it made you better. So I guess I'm kind of piggybacking off Gregory's question. How much better, you know, some people want to destroy others, that, you know, make sure they stay on the, you know, want Salem 1-9 and not any better. But how much better does the River Ridge District get when teams such as Pulaski and Salem are having good years?
Yeah, it makes it a lot more competitive, and it makes you get better every week. You get better, you don't survive, and that helps you for the playoffs. There was, I think, 2 years ago, we ended up winning our last two games 68-0 and 65-0, and I think it really hurt us going into the playoffs because our kids were playing like a quarter, and really, really hard to stay at that time of the year when it's, you know, it's cold and you're in practicing, and it's hard to stay sharp when you're not getting to do it in the game situation on Fridays. So it's always important for those guys to be good. And, you know, GW Danville, I got to coach Nate Poole at Marshall, and when I was assistant at Marshall, and we played them my first 2 years here. They, you know, they're always good. They always got athletes, and but it's all the better your district, the better you're going to be in the playoffs. And if that's really the goal that you want, is to win playoff games, then you need everybody to be good.
Coach, I think they released the power rankings for the PHSL. You know, how important is is there a pressure to remain undefeated throughout the regular season? That way you can host as long as you can there in the playoffs, or you got to take it one game at a time, not worry about that stuff?
I'd never talk to my team about going undefeated. You know, that's nice if it happens, but it's really difficult to do. But it would be really great for us to stay 1 or 2. You know, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between 1 and 2. You're going to be at home until the regional championship if you can win. So we really want to get a home game. It's, you know, we got, like I said, we lost that first game of the season, so we only have 4 home games. The seniors would really love to have another home game and play at our place. And, you know, I don't know if you guys have been to PH lately, but, you know, our new field house that we've got is 3 or 4 years old. It's really helped our culture of our team to have one have an area that's just ours, and that we meet in every day and do our thing and meetings and all that. And it's really helped us. So to be able to play at home in a playoff game is extremely important. And, we've done those drives. We've done those drives to Fredericksburg and all that. And I want to make somebody else get on a bus and come here, let them come 3.5 hours from Richmond and play here. So.
Coach, one of the most important things that's going on right now are polls. And listen, the biggest poll in your area just so happens to be from the District 2 Sports Podcast. So I just want to let you know that the new poll will roll out tonight at 8:30 p.m. So if you want to join us, feel free to join us live. I know Cam's dad joins us. He joined us last weekend, so he has a lot to throw at us and a lot to say. But just currently now, I just want to let you know, don't want to put no pressure on you guys. At 5-0, and with your latest win, you're still sitting atop of the District 2 Sports Podcast poll. Just want to let you know that. And, we don't want to wish any curses on anyone, but I'm just going to tell you good luck the rest of the year.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I know, it's kind of baffled early in the year, after not with you guys polled, but after we went to Glass and won, and we still weren't in people's polls, and some other people's that we had beaten were. And I was like, I don't know, maybe they're trying to sell papers, or maybe they're trying to get viewers. I don't know.
Well, I've looked, and Gregory's in Jacksonville, Florida, so I try to send them. I try to watch the broadcast on Friday night and pick those polls up. I'm not going to mention anybody, but I have actually seen, and you beat your other rivalry there in Roanoke, and they still had your rivalry ahead of you in a poll, and I'm just devastated. I'm like, where does this stuff come from? Who does this? And we don't ever claim that we know it all, and I want people to know that, and especially you, Coach. We don't get on here as a gimmick whatsoever. I mean, we actually have Gregory's brother, Devin. He actually has a power ranking, and he's got his own schematics and whatever that he comes with. Yeah, it's crazy. And I tell everybody now, I know why he chewed his toenails as a infant and stuff, because I don't know how he comes up with this stuff. But no, in all seriousness, we try to, when we put a poll together, it's not just, hey, you're from Danville, you go in here as 0-4, you're fine. Or if you're from Ringgold, you go in here as a 1-3 team because you represent. That's not what we do at all. And we try to put something that's not necessarily common sense, but it also makes sense by analytics. And we haven't even mentioned this to you at all, but the goal of our podcast originally and still to this day is that we want to bring notice to kids in the viewing area that may or may not already be on somebody's radar as far as playing at the next level. And it doesn't matter what sport it is, basketball, football, baseball, if it's the gymnast, if it's volleyball, we don't care. We want to get them some exposure so that they can carry on to the next level. So that was our original plan, and we're hoping we can do that from here on.
Yeah, that's great. And I appreciate you guys doing that. Like I say, that's a lot of our goal too, is to get these guys to the next level. And I think if we feel, it's high school football, 10 years from now, nobody's going to remember who won Friday night, but they're going to remember, these guys that got degrees and they're doing things and raising their families. And, when these guys come back and see me, it always means a lot. And, that's our ultimate goal. And, we like to win along the way, and, we're competitive and we're out here trying to win. But the biggest thing is trying to help these guys in their future. And I appreciate you guys doing that. As far as the poll goes, I don't look at any. The only one I really look at is the region rankings. And right now we're right where we need to be. And as long as we do well in those rankings, that's the only one that really matters, because at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to who wins and who loses games, and the polls really don't matter.
Coach, last one for me. We'll get out of here, but I just want to, I think when you guys beat EC Glass, I think you got your 100th win there. I just want to see what that meant to you, getting that win, or is it just another win on your belt?
No, it was my 100th win at PH. Really meant a lot to me. Like I said, coming here and not knowing anyone, and taking over a program that had some rough times, and being able to do that, and all the kids that help accomplish that, and all the coaches. We have so much fun as coaching staff. Like that, I think that's one of the things. Like, we have a great group of coaches, and we all get along, and we have a lot of fun together, and we try to win football games and help these kids out. And that's what meant a lot to me. And it's something, they can never take away from you. And it did mean a lot to me. And but it meant a lot because of all the people involved, not anything that I've necessarily done.
Well, Coach, we do appreciate your time. I know you got some practice get here too. You guys got to finish out the season strong. Currently first there in Region C in Class 5. We do appreciate your time, and you heard it here from Coach Alan Fiddler there at Patrick Henry High School.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Coach.
We definitely appreciate it. We'll see you before the end of the year. That's for sure.
Sounds good.